Hello everybody. So I wanted to do an update on an experiment that me and my boyfriend, not boyfriend, I'm sorry, husband, have been doing on reality. Oh, Skip to Ladoo, how are you? Let me make sure no one else is in here yet. So essentially, the experiment that we've been doing was, so last night, I was having one of my moments where I tend to overthink things and it tends to scare me. Where I get these weird ideas, what if I did this, what would happen? What if I did that, what would happen? And my boyfriend, it's force of habit, husband, was trying to comfort me and he was like, it's okay. Oh, I'm good. So I was essentially like, what's going on, and we were talking, and I was like, no, how about for once I go with it, see what happens? Because usually I'm too scared to go with it because I'm by myself, but I was with him. And I was like, let's try and see what happens. So, do you ever have... So, here's the story of why we decided to question the reality that we know first. Me and my boyfriend essentially met online a long time ago. Husband, I'm sorry. Oh, no, there wasn't really a wedding stream. It was just a private moment of us taking our vows. We're still gonna legalize the marriage, though. But, yeah, it's gonna be on film, definitely. When we're married. If my husband is okay with that, anyway. But we are married, we're just not legally married. But we're married based on our religion, so. Anyway, where was I? Oh, yeah. So, this guy was there. There in Hawaii. And then all this strange stuff happened with CX. And it was funny because shortly before it all happened, I felt like something was about to happen. Skip to Delu. I actually live here in Ohio now. I'm married now. Anyway, so. Oh, by the way, fun little fact. I'm actually going to invite. So we have like two weddings. We have like a mini wedding that like legalizes it, that like has to be done like now because of like people and the family are offended that we haven't legalized the marriage. So we have to legalize it so that it doesn't look bad. So that's what has to be urgent. But we are having a big ceremony in the spring, and we're inviting our friends and family and EBG. I'm going to invite EBG to that ceremony, the one in the spring. This one being done now has to be like done like now. Oh, popcorn, which is actually part of the story I'm about to tell you. So anyway, by the way, anybody watching this, make sure that you enable the comments because it's not as fun unless the comments are enabled and you can read them. Because it's me interacting with the comments. So if you don't enable the comments, you only see half the conversation. Anyway, so yeah, we were just doing that, and all this stuff happened with CX, and I noticed how whenever I did something interesting, something unusual, something excited would happen. And yeah, it was always weird. Something exciting would happen, and I thought, is this how to live life? And I wasn't sure, because good things would happen as well. And for the first time in a long time, while I was on that stream, and I was with these people, it felt like I was living life the way it was meant to be lived, because things were being unpredictable and exciting. So, that happened right after I streamed. So I'm doing everything that I could, no matter how reality went against me doing the ice stream, to fight it. I realized that when you fight reality, things get better. Actually, no, I didn't realize that until way later. But I was fighting reality because I was like, no, this is going to happen. I only have one chance. In my thought, it was almost like time travel, where you only have one chance to make the timeline go the way that you want it to go, and you're doing every little action to try to manipulate the future. That's how I was seeing the present. I was doing that and trying really, really hard to be on the stream, and I was doing all these things and losing everything, but ignoring it and going through with everything anyway, and doing every single thing that I could to manipulate the future to be better. So then I kept going, and after the stream, my grandma got in a car crash, and at the time she had a blood clot that she could not be too stressed out. And my family was scared because I was with CX, and it was stressing her out that I was with CX, is basically the short version of the story, because they were making all these assumptions. So I had to leave so that my grandma wouldn't have a stroke, because of the blood clot that she had, even though I really wanted to stay with CX. But if I could go back in time, I would have done everything that I could to try to work it to where both would have worked. But you know what? If both wouldn't have worked, I would have still chosen my grandma. Yeah, she's okay now. She's fine now. She just wasn't at that time. She was very out of shape, and I didn't want anything bad to happen to her. So then my mom was like, because your grandma is so stressed, and because she's disappointed because you've been working so much, you should go back to Virginia with her and do Christmas. And I was like, okay, I'll do that. So I go on the plane. I mean, not Virginia, Ohio. So I go on the plane, and then I realized that we're actually less than an hour away from my long-distance boyfriend's house. I think about 30 or 40 minutes exactly. And I didn't even realize this till after I planned to go because I was worried about my grandma. So I call at the time he was my betrothed, and I told him, and we were very excited. And all these weird things kept happening where we could not be alone together. And even when I would visit him, a bunch of strange occurrences would happen that we were unable to be alone together. We would walk to his house, and then suddenly an emergency would happen. We would be trying to go somewhere, then there would be a bunch of police. We would try to go somewhere else, but then that somewhere else would be closed. Weird things happened multiple times that would not let me be by myself with this boy. And anyway. And then, we went to his mother's house, and the snow forced us to have to stay the night at his mother's house, even though she wasn't sure she wanted us there. And that night, we had a discussion about how to be careful, and about, how sometimes couples will accidentally get pregnant, and how it's important to, be careful, and things like that. And so then, after that, we were alone together, but at that point, we were very, very good. So then, what ended up happening was and you know what, maybe we wouldn't have been as careful if she didn't talk to us about all those warnings about why we should be good, and to not, do too much. No, I'm not pregnant. It's actually biologically impossible for me to be, because I haven't had. Anyway, yeah, I know I'm married, but I'm married right now, but I also don't have birth control. So. Anyway, so then what happened was, then we ended up, I'm trying to remember. Yeah, so then we ended up getting married. And it was funny because there was also a bunch of other coincidences that made him and I end up together, but the CX thing actually really played into our relationship, that we felt comfortable enough to be married. Because after all of the challenges in our relationship that had come with me being on stream, with trust, and with people saying that I was cheating and all that, I realized that this was a very loyal man who was very trusting of me and who loved me very much. And it was a very unselfish man who was astronomically a wonderful partner. So we got married, and I would like to clarify again, I'm not pregnant, we haven't done anything, and that's because I don't have birth control yet, even though I'm married. Anyway, so we're legalizing the marriage too out of respect. So then we were together one night, and we were like, isn't it strange that you could have been anywhere in the world on the internet, and you ended up being right to the place where I ended up flying a plane to? And he was like, yeah, that's really unusual. And then we started talking about all the occurrences, and I don't remember what was in it, but we drew out a timeline that actually showed that we would have ended up together no matter what. Because I also would have visited Ohio to see somebody else. And then I would have ran into him because I would have wanted to meet the other SC members. I also had family kind of in his area, so then that would have happened. Then we started to connect dots that we had been to a lot of the same places before, but not just because of the Ohio thing, but also that we also had family in other of the same places: Florida, Ohio, Kentucky. And no, we were not related. We did a lot of research before anything, and we're not related. We just happen to have a lot of family in the same area, which is actually really convenient for us. Anyway, what was I was gonna say? So we noticed all of these strange things, and we said to ourselves, wow, it's really strange coincidences. It's almost like reality is scripted and kind of forces things sometimes. What happens if you go against those scripted things? So I don't know, I know this sounds weird, but I kept feeling the urge to draw, and I was having one of my weird moments, and oh, hi, sorry. This is a study room, so if I'm gonna keep talking, I gotta move the computer. Are you guys studying or hanging out? Oh, okay. Anyway, so as I was saying, where was I? So then I decided to draw, and I drew a picture that looked kind of like a face, but it also looked like it had 8 eyes. One of the eyes was kind of in the corner out of the way, and then there was a television at the bottom. So it was 8 eyes and a television and I think it was me wearing a kind of top. So it was that, and it was the eyes would be here, the television would be here, and then me wearing the top would be here. And then he like drew it that way. So then like we got all freaked out because like he was like, no, maybe like it'd be there. And then like there started being all these weird noises that sound kind of like a dying cow or something. And then that kind of scared us. So then like we went into like another room because we decided, oh, this is creepy, we should leave. But then every time we tried to leave, some weird coincidence would happen. Like he would lose his keys, or then like he would like fall, or then like something else would fall, and then he'd have to go get it. And it was just weird because every moment that he tried to leave, something would happen. And it was really weird. And then we both started crying. Anyway, so like then like we finally just like freaked out and ran out of the room. And then we went into another room and we noticed that, and like we were like sitting there, and I kind of noticed, the carpet kind of looks like eyes, but I didn't say anything. And it was because of the pattern. But I didn't say anything, and I just sat there, and I thought that's really unusual. And then I didn't even think about it, but I had, in the rush that we had done trying to get out of there, I put on the top that was drawn in the picture. That wasn't even a specific top. It was just like me like wearing something, and it looked just like the top in the picture. And then I like put on like just like a random top, and like without looking at it, and just went. And it was the same one. And then the carpet looked kind of like eyes. And then like he like after we talked for a moment, he said, "Was you notice anything about the carpet?" He didn't even say what. And I said, "Yeah, I noticed it looked like eyes. You noticed that too?" And then he was like, "Yes." And so then we noticed that there was like the television, and it was positioned exactly. And then I was like on the side, and then like I had the top on. And it was really weird because like it was like the same as like the picture. So then we were like, holy crap. So then like we left, and then we went into the main common area because we felt like stuff kept happening. But before we went to the main common area, we heard the noise that we heard coming from our room before, and it was getting like louder. And like I was like, "Do you hear that?" And then he was like, "Yeah, I hear it. Did you hear it too?" And then I was like, "Yeah, I hear that too." And it was like a cow or something. So then like we were like both like really confused, and then like we were like he was like, "Oh, I don't have my da 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 da," and then I was like, "Oh, I don't have my da 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 da," and then weird stuff kept happening that was like urging us to go back to the room. And so we were like, "No, let's not go back to the room. Let's go against it. It must be trying to make us go back to the room, whatever is going on." So then we don't go back to the room. We go into the lobby, and we're just sitting there in the lobby, and like you know, were locked out there. And the coat that had been gone for days, that I hadn't seen for days, that had just disappeared and I hadn't seen it anywhere, was there on a chair. And like immediately, like there was like this dinging noise that came from somewhere as soon as like we both saw the coat and reached for it at the same time. And then there was like a ding, and it was really surreal. And we looked at each other, and I was like, "Did you hear?" And it's like, yeah, there was like a ding like in that moment. And I was like, "Oh shit." So then like I like put the coat on, and we had been looking for this coat, kept talking about this coat. We wanted this coat. We didn't have enough coats. And there it was. And so then we like walked all around, and we were like, well, there must be a way out, but we were trapped in there because the other building was locked. It was snow. It was like a blizzard outside. And without our key, we had no way to get back into the corridors. But because we decided to go against whatever was going on, we just decided to go on an adventure doing the opposite of whatever events tried to lure us into doing the opposite. So because the sensible thing to do in all of the events that had lined up would mean we should go back to our room, we looked around and tried to find an alternative to go somewhere else. So then like we walk around, and immediately the elevator comes down and nobody is in it, and then it just opens up and it dings again, and then we just are like, okay, and we walk into the elevator, and I'm like, where should we go? And then Bo's like, third floor, and I'm like, I like that number, let's go to the third floor. So we go to the third floor, and we go in there, and it looked like there had been like a meeting, and there's like popcorn everywhere, and we're like, oh, okay. And then he like leaves his food there, and like we sit down, and we know this is the same carpet, da 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 da. But then we notice that there are 8 chairs that were positioned just like the eyes in the drawing, and 1 chair was to the side and out of place this time. 8 black chairs, and then there was like the TV, and then I like was like standing in that area with the top that we had noticed before, and it was really unusual. So when we were like, crap. So I know I probably sound crazy right now. So then we decided, oh, actually, and then there was this other thing that happened. So, like, by the way, before we got into this room, we had been talking philosophically before about how it's unusual how, like, have you ever noticed that, like, sometimes you see people's faces and the people's faces look very familiar, like faces that you've seen frequently throughout your entire life? Like, just like faces that you've always seen, like, since you were little, when you look at a face in like pictures or photos or like someone random and the faces aren't even that detailed, which sounds crazy, but like I've noticed it and he's noticed it. And you know, we've just both kind of noticed this. And so we like look at these faces like all lined up and we're about to look at them to like see if our theory was true and if these faces looked like faces we'd seen before and if they were not detailed or like if most of them were not detailed or something, and then immediately somebody walks down the hallway. It's like in the middle of the night. No one ever really does that. And they just like are like walking down the hallway in our direction and is like hello, and they kind of talk to us and then like just distract us from looking at the pictures. So that was when we went back into the room that had the 8 chairs, was after this event. And then we were like, let's just ignore how the events of reality made us not want to look at the pictures and then go back and look at the pictures. So after the room, we went back and we looked at the pictures after the person was gone. And we noticed those faces did look familiar, like people that we had seen throughout our lives. Now, to him, of course, they would be familiar because he had lived there, but I did not live there. I was just visiting. I don't know anybody there, but the faces looked familiar to me also. And we looked, and there wasn't even any pimples, any freckles, any like anything interesting. And a lot of the people even looked kind of similar to each other. Same, I don't know, it's just weird, but it's just the people didn't look that detailed and they all looked like people we had seen before, kind of like very familiar, like deja vu. And we just looked at each other and were like, oh my gosh, it's true. It's a really strong deja vu, and the faces aren't detailed. It almost looks like the faces are not really real. So what was I really gonna say? So then like we keep on going and yeah, and then we see jokes on the board and we read the board and then there was a joke on the board that says, don't trust the stairs, they're always up to something, with an arrow pointing up the stairs. And we thought, well, let's go down the stairs and see what happens. So we go down the stairs and then we go into the laundry room and we see 7, and then we see 7 washing machines lined up on like the one side, right? Where the right in the same position that the eyes that were drawn in the picture were. But where was the 8th one? There were 7 of them, and there was no 8th one that was like out of the way in the corner. We couldn't see it at all. And we thought that that was very unusual, and we were like, okay, whatever, you know, it's just washing machines. And then like I like jokingly sat on top of the washing machines. They can't see me now. Then the sink started making a bunch of weird noises. And so then like there was like this map, and like the map was like of the laundry room, and we looked at the map and we noticed that all of the washing machines were numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then there was like a little 8, and then there was like a change machine. And it was on the side in the same place that the 8th eye had been. And then like there was like the weird TV looking thing, and then there was the TV. And then we were like, oh my gosh, again, it's like my picture. And so we go and we try to find this 8th change machine, and there was no 8th change machine. There was no change machine there. The change machine was not there at all. It was there on the map, and it wasn't there in real life. And we looked everywhere for this change machine, and we couldn't find it. And we were like, once again, like the picture, it shows up. 8 of the eyes, and the one that's out of the way in among those is again separated from the others. And then we looked, and we realized that although there wasn't a change machine there was a video camera there. And we were like, holy crap, you cannot make this stuff up. And there's a video camera where like the 8th eye from the map was supposed to be. There was a video camera right there. And it was just crazy. And I was like, is this like what? And so like now we've found my coat, you know, so then we go upstairs And then the popcorn is still there. And then like we're talking and we're like, well, I want to find some people that would make me feel better. And then suddenly a guy just runs in. He just runs in and then he says, hey, did I just see you downstairs? Like, did I just see you earlier? And I think that I saw you up here now. And then Bo was like, yeah. And he's like, oh, that's so weird because I just saw you like twice. And then I was like, why'd you run in here? And he was like, oh, just to get my Cheerios. And then like I was like, hey, is anybody getting these popcorn? He's like, nah, you can have it. Once again, a reward from playing whatever this game is. First we get my coat. Now we're getting popcorn. And then we keep talking and then we make friends with this guy. So we get popcorn, my coat back, and we get to be friends with this guy. All from doing the opposite of what we supposedly would have. Everything just started to fall into place for us. So we talked to him and he actually thinks it's really interesting and he actually is tried to hook up with us. He's like, hey, do you want to be friends? Do you want to hang out? Do you want to hang out tomorrow? We're like, okay, that sounds great. And then he was like, if you ever need help getting back into your room, just let me know. He said this randomly out of the blue, by the way. And then he pointed out, oh, it's really 4 a.m. You should probably go back to your room. And yet another thing that's making us have to go back to our room, by the way. So we were like, oh, okay. And then like we started walking away and we thought, no, this guy's trying to make us go back to our room. So let's see what happens if we do not go back to the room. So we decided to go back downstairs into the lobby and see what would happen if we went back into the lobby. So we go down there and he's got his Mountain Dew. And these like various things have happened that have been keeping me from eating this food. So I'm just going to eat my food in the lobby. Actually, no, he left his Mountain Dew in the lobby, he thought, but it was actually up where we were, which I knew that. So then we go down there and we're trying to get the Mountain Dew, and Mountain Dew's sitting there, and I'm like, well, I'll just hold the elevator open while you go get the Mountain Dew. And he's like, okay. So like, by the way, there had also been other events. I forgot to mention them, but just weird random events that kept bringing us back to the lobby, and then we didn't want to be in the lobby, but this time he's going into the lobby, and we're like, oh my God, but we shouldn't be in the lobby because then we'll be stuck there. And so he's like, no, let's go in the lobby. So then like we try to go, so then he goes in the lobby, I'm holding open the elevator door with my arm, and then immediately after he steps out, the elevator door starts buzzing and closing in on itself, and there's an alarm, which is really weird because I've helped open that elevator door multiple times and it's never happened until now. So I'm opening up the elevator door, the thing is starting to close, it's going and then I'm like freaking out and I'm just like not moving because I don't know what to think. My elevator's still in the door, so then Bo like grabs my arm, pulls it back towards me, and then like jumps into the elevator, and he's like, holy shit. And so then like we go back up to the 3rd floor, and the Mountain Dew is actually in the room that we already were. And at this point, Bo's like, I'm tired, Jasmine, I'm exhausted. Can we just play more of this tomorrow? And then I'm like, okay, we'll play more tomorrow, And so we're like, okay. And then we ask the guy to let us back into our room, and he does, and we go back into our room, and we're all heebie-jeebies. So we start watching cartoons, and then he said something, and I just got this random urge to write down, like to type in what he said as a joke. And it was this song, and it's like, welcome to your life. There's no turning back. It was that song. It was weird because when we looked at the lyrics, it was describing exactly what had just been going on. We've been looking for a place where, Anyway, so, yeah, it's crazy. So then, like, we were like, okay, let's discuss something tomorrow and then see if we will get rewarded if we go against whatever thing it is that we keep trying to do that we never do. And then he was like, well, I can never seem to hang out at the mall before work. Something always happens. I miss the bus. The bus isn't there. There's no phone. My medicine's gone. There's a hole in my pocket. It's always something that keeps me from hanging out at the mall before work. And then I was like, so it's another one of those things, huh? And then he's like, yes. And I'm like, okay, well, how about tomorrow we do whatever we can to get you to hang out at the mall before work, and then we'll see if, like before, there's some kind of reward that happens to us from doing it. So he's like, okay. So, like, he tries to go today to hang out at the mall before work, and then multiple things happened that were keeping him once again from hanging out at the mall. He lost his medicine, he couldn't find his key, and the bus just decided not to run today, which was weird. Just the bus didn't want to run today. And so then he comes back and he's like, I don't think I could, da-da-da-da. And then he was like, and I want to get my hat. And then I was like, all right, I'm not going to tell you what to do. And I'm like, but remember, this is our test to see if reality is the way that we think it is. And he's like, you're right. And then he just starts off running to that mall. And he gets there, and there's a 90% off sale there from a jewelry record. And there's there's freaking wedding rings. And I actually, anyone record this? Well, we didn't record last night because I wanted to go back for my phone, but I didn't want to go back to the room. So I just decided not to and play it out to see what happens. But we are going to start reporting more of this game and see what happens. But I do have the text history though of us talking about some of these events a little bit. So anyway, now I'm shaking a little bit now. So anyway, yeah, so that's what happens. There's a 90% off sale, 70 to 90% off actually, on wedding rings at a closing jewelry store, and we haven't been able to afford proper wedding rings. And right when he's getting his paycheck, there it is. So we're going to go wedding ring shopping tomorrow. So again, we play this game, we go against this game, and we get more rewards. So we're going to keep seeing what happens. It's really weird, but I definitely think that there's something going on. Anyway, I've been telling this story for 30 minutes and I sound crazy. How about you know what? I'm going to screenshot this conversation. The last little part of it that has the wedding rings part at least, because that's what I have. How do I open this? But yeah, think back, you guys. Thank you, Silly Dilly. But yeah, you guys think back to weird coincidences in your lives that have you guys ever had moments in your lives that have forced you to be where you are now, where no matter how hard you try to do one thing, reality went against it? Where no matter Bo and I cannot be the only ones. We can't be. Everybody has crazy stories like that. So tell your crazy stories of your whatever weird mind freaks that you've had in your life, and think back to your life and see if it looks scripted, and write about it. Just write about your life. And I'm still going to put this picture up here, but it's is reality written like a script? It's been written by someone. I personally think maybe God. I don't know, but I don't know. Maybe I think reality is written out or something. I think that's even what ISIS stream, the CX streams are actually based on in a way. Because if you notice, they do random things that kind of go against the situation, go against what you would expect, go against reality. And all this crazy stuff happens to them because of it. They go on all these crazy adventures because of it. So I think that's how they work. I think they figured out this thing with reality, and now they're playing with it. And they profit off of doing that. Anyway, let's see here. Oh, also, Bo actually had a dream about me before he met me, a couple of years before he met me. He said that what was especially stuck out most to him was the eyes and the cheeks, and that it was my face and my hair. And that after we got married, he told me that that was me, that he felt that had been me. So again, weird. Okay, let's zoom in and take a picture of this. I can't have his last name, so I'm gonna have to edit this picture and everything. There we go. Just paint. I'm going to put the link to the picture. This paint.
He just said I was literally laying in bed, had not even been on drugs or anything, and he saw that and I was like, well, yes, of course I want to get coffee, but that's why I said I was starting ready right now. And I was like, I'll get coffee.
File. Save as. All right. Here we go. That is the link to at least the make it to the mall and see what happens segment of our conversation that we had earlier this morning. So yeah, what's the likelihood? That's exactly what we wanted. So anyway, we're gonna keep on doing this and see how things go. I think I'm gonna explore a little bit. How about now I take videos. Just a second, I'll be right back. I'm gonna end the stream for now, but I'm gonna continue streaming in a minute. Thank you for watching my What I Figured Out About Reality